I am Amanda Demas Larsen, and this is my portion of the spring virtual open studio tours put on by the City of Greenbelt Recreation. If you are from Greenbelt, you probably know me, or you might know me, as the Arts Education Specialist for Greenbelt Recreation. You may have even taken a class from me, but I plan and execute all of the art education opportunities, all of the art classes for the City of Greenbelt. But what you may not know is that I'm also an artist. And this is my studio, slow pan behind me. I'll turn my camera around in a moment. But I'm also an artist. I am an oil painter. And I see so many people joining. Hello, I'm waving back at you. I am primarily an oil painter, although I'll talk a little bit later about some other things that I dabble in. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my camera around. And we'll start with, I pulled into my studio a few older paintings so that I could talk a little bit about my style. And while some of these paintings are quite old, I actually have been working sort of in a similar style with similar descriptive qualities, I guess, for quite a few years. So these are just a few of my older paintings. I work, as I said before, in oil paint. I mostly do portraits. I paint, in many cases, I paint self-portraits and people that I know and love. This is my mother. This is a painting actually that was part of a series that I actually struggled with and sort of set aside, didn't love a lot of the work that came out of it. But I was looking at this one recently, and actually it's not showing up on the camera quite as well, but I really love it now that I've sat with it. I spent so much time layering and working it, that I now, having sat with it, really love it. But so I paint portraits, I paint people. I often paint people with objects or in settings that are important to them. And so you can see that's very obvious in this one. I also, this is a self-portrait from quite a few years ago. I also paint often, my style is somewhat tableau-like, sort of like staged dramatic scenes. So this is me and my daughter. You can't tell quite necessarily what's going on, but something's happening. So there's often an element of the drama in my paintings, but also sort of a stillness and a mundane quality. So that's some of my older work. So I will show you some paintings that are very, very fresh, very new. Let's see, this one, there's a lot of glare on it. But I wanted to talk a little bit about my process. So I work 100% from photos that I take myself. So I will have an idea, a concept that I want to paint, an idea for a subject, and then I will light the subject, stage the subject, and take photos. And then I will go through the photos. Sometimes I cut and paste, splice things together, and then work on my canvas. And you can see in this one method that I've for many years used is to start with a drawing in charcoal. So this one has a charcoal drawing to start my painting. But I often actually will also just work with straight paint on the canvas. So my method changes a bit. So this painting, I actually had a lot of fun with the background or underpainting, with quite a few, well, not quite a few, but some layers of reds and blacks, actually, other colors. I don't work primarily abstractly very often, but this was a lot of fun to work on the background. And then I often work on my figures in the oil painting world, what we call grisaille, which basically just means a monochromatic painting with either brown and white or black and white. So you can see that I'm working mostly in just two or three colors in this painting. And then lots of layers. So let's see, let me know if you have any questions. I'll turn it around for a bit. I wanted to talk a little bit, when I was first preparing for the studio tour, I sort of took everything off my walls because I have a lot of junk on there. But then I put them back up because I decided that's actually a really important part of my process. And over this last year plus, and I know I was listening to the other studio tours today, and a lot of the artists mentioned that it's been sort of hard to make art over the last year. And so a big part of what I've been doing over the last year is instead of working on my big paintings, working small scale. So I actually rehung and put up a bunch of just little studies, and pieces. Some of these are really old, some of them are new. But I learn best, I get better, I guess, when I am working sort of on a small scale, no strings attached, experimentally. Sometimes I feel like my work is fresh and I learn a lot that way. So I wanted to include that as just part of my practice. Checking my notes. Okay. So I also so the project I'm actually working on now is not painting at all, but I'm working on I have taught quite a few classes over the years, not just painting. And one thing that I've done quite a few times is silkscreen. And given the cicadas that have been in town lately, I have decided to work on some cicada silkscreens. And I was really hoping by the time we had Open Studio to be a little bit more prepared with some t-shirts or actual prints. But instead, I just put on the wall a few of my preliminary sketches. There are lots more where these came from, but just a few of my preliminary sketches. And then here are a few more. So I'm working on that. Sorry about that. There's more coming. So if you are on Instagram, you can watch out for that. And I also pulled a few books, because since the pandemic, I have been teaching bookmaking classes online. These are a few that we've made in class, and it's been really fun. I've been made books for years, but this has been really fun to sort of revitalize it, and have been doing so much. It's been really fun in the pandemic to sort of get back into that. So you can see more of my work at amandademaslarsen.com. And you can paint and sketch with me if you take a class with me over the summer. So I definitely recommend that you go to greenbeltmd.gov/recreation and learn about the classes I teach, and that the other wonderful instructors, many who have presented today, are also teaching. The next artist on the roster, on the docket for today, is Raquel Keller, so you can check her out at 3:30. And are those sorry, I'm looking at the questions. Thank you, Rachel. I think that's a big part of my my paintings are relationships. That's a really big part. Cicadas do have lovely wings. Thank you, Celestine. I actually, as I've been sketching them, I started sort of working on this before the cicadas came out, and so would just Google images of them. And then when they actually came out, getting my own photos was wonderful because you can see so much more detail in their wings, and they are absolutely beautiful. And yes, these are sketchbooks that we make in our class. This is a class that I'm going to be teaching again this summer. We're going to be doing this book, The Flat Back. It's blank, has pages for sketching inside. So yes, please go to greenbeltmd.gov/recreation to check out our classes and to join Raquel and to see more about what I do. And I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions about the paintings I've showed you or my practice? Do you save sketches done to prepare your family portraits? Yes and no. Yes, I save like every sketch that I've ever done and then periodically go through and purge and like take photos of them and try to get rid of them because there are just piles and piles. But I also don't sketch for every painting that I make. I actually start right on the canvas often. That's not always the case. I do have sketches as well. And I will scroll through all the paintings again. So here's a self-portrait and another self-portrait. Every once in a while I try to get away from self-portraits and then I just come right back. That's my mother. And lace. This is me and Zoe. And these are my babies, Theo and Oli. My oldest two have actually so many paintings of them that I thought I need to finally capture. I need to give a little more time to Theo and Oli. And then this is another self-portrait. Oops, glare again. Another self-portrait. All right, and I can show you these. I hesitate to show sort of my experimental practice paintings because they don't feel like my body of work, but they really are a part of my my painting practice. And here are a few cicada designs and some more down here and some beautiful books. Thank you, everybody.